Authoritatively known as the Aokigahara Forest, one of the most strange spots on Earth is also called the Suicide Forest. As the name proposes, this is a direct result of the sheer number of individuals who have ended their own lives there. Truly, several individuals end it all in this most chilling stretch of forest every year. Maybe the backwards pulls in individuals who wish to end their own carries on with because of its own inauspicious history of suicides, practically like an unavoidable outcome. Or then again maybe there truly is something genuinely abhorrent that contorts people groups' brains and musings. Or then again may we locate that attractive irregularities have such a grim impact. Here are 10 reasons that the suicide forest is a really upsetting spot. If you venture into the suicide forest, one of the first things you will notice will be ribbons. And while that doesn't sound very chilling in itself, the backstory to them is. Each one essentially represents someone who at the very least went into the forest with the aim of killing themselves. However, many people would take a long piece of colored ribbon with them. They would tie it to a tree upon entering the forest. The reason for this was in case the person changed their minds and then could find their way back out again. Quite often, though, if you were to follow these ribbons, you will often discover a dead body at the end of them. Quite often hanging from one of the trees. It is truly a grim reminder, for all the other visual beauty of the region, that many people come here and never leave. Another nerve-wracking disclosure you ought to hope to discover in the suicide forest are numerous individual things. Such things as cell phones, journals, and even things of apparel. Some of the time these things will be found in little heaps. As though various individuals at various occasions have halted in these spots to go over their considerations. Maybe for a last time. You may likewise find void beaver.
As we would envision, there are various stories of phantoms and spirits dwelling inside the woodland. Nonetheless, a few legends recommend that these spirits even urge individuals to end their own lives as they meander through the trees. It is broad confidence in Japanese old stories that when an individual passes on an unexpected or rough demise, this will make them become a yurei. These spooky spirits are said to move their wrath and outrage onto the individuals who wander their direction. Numerous individuals, for instance, frequently discuss how they feel abruptly on edge for reasons unknown. Or then again how floods of dread or frenzy defeat them abruptly. Envision, at that point, having these emotions while previously managing real self-destructive considerations. We may likewise take note of that there are a few different areas around the earth where individuals discuss unexpectedly encountering extraordinary negative feelings. As we will analyze further in our last passage, the purpose behind this may one day demonstrate to topographical rather than paranormal. On the off chance that any of the above doesn't pound home the sheer number of individuals who have taken their own lives in the suicide forest, at that point the various admonition signs dabbed around notice individuals explicitly not to end it all maybe will. Also, these signs can be found wherever all through the woodland. Not exclusively do these signs contain the admonitions endeavoring to persuade individuals to alter their perspectives against self-destruction, however, they additionally promote different telephone quantities of associations that endeavor to help individuals in such a dull outlook. Regardless of whether these signs do have any kind of effect to the individuals who enter the woodland with musings of ending their own lives or not is maybe open to discuss. The way that specialists have taken these measures, notwithstanding, maybe exhibits how genuinely they take the issue. Also, when we see our next point, it is anything but difficult to perceive any reason why they would do as such. It is felt that around 100 dead bodies every year are eliminated from the grim timberland. What's more, furthermore, there are a lot more that stay there for quite a long time before disclosure. Exceptional gatherings adventure into the woods. If they locate any dead bodies, they quickly tell the police. One individual from the gathering, typically a more seasoned part, will ordinarily stay at the scene to guarantee nothing is upset. On the off chance that by chance they find somebody alive conceivably as yet considering ending their own life, they will accompany that individual back to safe houses close to the backwoods. Once there, they are firmly urged to acknowledge the assistance therewith expecting to get back from the dull spot wherein they get themselves. It isn't difficult to envision why the individuals who play out these terrible obligations become worn out on vacationers visiting the woods and regarding it as a scene. Notwithstanding, as we will investigate in our next point, We can't make certain of these figures as Japanese specialists no longer distribute them. In a further exertion to end the sheer number of individuals showing up at the suicide forest to end their own lives, specialists would choose to quit distributing official numbers. What's more, just as the individuals who prevail with regards to ending their own lives, there are additionally many different endeavors that for different reasons, maybe they were talked out of it or essentially reconsidered their arranged activity, that is not fruitful. Not exclusively were the numbers seeming to draw on the consideration of the Japanese populace, however, even producers would set their accounts there, for the most part spinning around the hero ending it all or engaging contemplations thereof. Maybe perhaps the best model would the Gus Van Sant film Sea of Trees from 2015. Again, this is maybe an incredible exhibit of exactly how genuine an issue the suicides really are. Regardless of whether this activity has accomplished a drop in suicides in the backwoods is not yet clear. For those hoping to set up a shelter and camp in the suicide forest, you will be emphatically debilitated from doing as such. Also, and still, after all that, you should truly remain on the official pathways. Eventually, such desire is viewed as ill-bred by numerous Japanese. Maybe along these lines, those searching for troubling experience frequently remove themselves profoundly into the backwoods from the path and watching eyes. This regularly prompts individuals to get lost and disorientated. Furthermore, the temperatures frequently drop to freezing around evening time, which can possibly make further issues for those glancing remain in the backwoods short term. The principal purpose behind this, however, is to debilitate individuals to remain in the woodlands for a delayed time frame, particularly in the event that they are holding considerations of self-destruction. Also, when we proceed onward to our next point, it is more than simple to perceive any reason why, along these lines to the legends about spooky nebulous visions. Numerous legends rotate around the possibility of the suicide forest basically being a position of unadulterated insidiousness. Regardless of whether because of spirits or basically abhorrent energy, a few people buy into the hypothesis that terrible things occur there as a result of otherworldly power. On the off chance that we accept that malevolent shows from past occasions, at that point the way that endless individuals have taken their lives in this spot would surely add to that. Be that as it may, even before the spate of suicides in the late 20th century, the woodland had a terrible past. A genuine case of this would be the training during the 1800s when numerous families would carry their old to the backwoods and leave them so they could bite the dust with respect in the forest. It is surely a charming if the melancholy idea. Nonetheless, for our next point, we will go to the historical backdrop of the woods and how it appeared. Also, at last, why it may have such a dim profound nature. The production of the woods was down to a mission from Mount Fuji in 864. The after-effect of this was 12 square miles of magma being spread over where the woodland currently stands. When the magma solidified, nature reclaimed the locale as trees and hemlock developed in plenitude. In the hundreds of years that followed, the Japanese revered Mount Fuji as a divine being. Besides, an incredible otherworldly connection was shaped between the general population and the area. This ejection likewise prompted the arrangements of odd cavern frameworks and caves inside the woodland. A considerable lot of these are unexplored and regularly have fantasies and legends connected to them. This itself adds more layers of interest to the secretive forest. Regardless of whether this starting to the backwoods has an association with its dim nature is theoretical and begging to be proven wrong. For our last point, however, we will go to science and ongoing disclosures that may reveal insight into how the Aokigahara forest apparently causes, or if nothing else, intensifies dull considerations. As of late, a few analysts have proposed that geomagnetic oddities may prompt such dull considerations in individuals, particularly the individuals who are now self-destructive at any rate. It is the idea of certain specialists that these geomagnetic inconsistencies happen under the ground where the woodland dwells. Furthermore, given that these unsettling influences change constantly, that may give us why the self-destruction rate apparently shot up in late a long time in the horrifying backwoods. The group who led the examination additionally took a gander at different records of geomagnetic action throughout the years in different nations. They would find that these frequently expanded from suicides. Also, these, thusly, diminished when such geomagnetic inconsistencies stopped. Maybe one especially fascinating finish of the investigation was that these geomagnetic unsettling influences apparently influenced men significantly more than ladies. While more examination and study is required on this hypothesis, it is positively a captivating one.